So I started watching this show when it came out, and I remember when it was announced, I was like, "This looks pretty cool." And I thought the first season was pretty good. Um, but usually shows like this tend to get worse. They have a little bit of a flair to them, a special side to them towards the beginning, and then as time goes, it just kind of slowly goes down. And when it comes to doing TV shows on the Bible, here's the thing: the Bible is not written for television entertainment. It's not written for um the Lord of the Rings or the Witcher, where it's intended to be that way. However, there's a lot of stories in the Bible that would make, if done properly, would make for great television movies. We have seen some of that in the past. But I'll tell you this: um, I watched the first two episodes of season two that just came out, and wow, uh, I'll have to say, as far as execution, acting, leadership, uh, they have done a great job with this. Because I probably would have rated the first season at like a 7.6, 7.7. It was a lot of setup. Um, just trying to get to know who people were. I'm still kind of struggling with that. Some of the verbiage they use goes over my head. But season two, I mean, they've come out guns blazing. I mean, it picked up right where it left off, went into a huge war, and it just wasn't like a one dimensional, kind of war where they're fighting each other, one side wins. There's a lot more to it than that. Uh, I was particularly impressed with a couple things I'll explain. So there's a character, and this is, biblical. His name's Agag, and he is shown in this show. The first season, Samuel stabs him and kills him. Uh, and then we see, Saul's madness. He slowly gets more and more crazy. Um, he ends up in this battle, and he walks out into this fiery forest area, and he's still being haunted by Agag through his madness. Um, and it shows him actually kill him again, but we obviously know that was like his vision. And then out comes the Philistine king, and they fight. And it's well known biblically that they had better weapons uh, than the Israelites had. Um, so, they look a lot more sleek. They're using Iron Age weapons. And he starts to lose. Out comes Jonathan, his son, who's also in the Bible, and he fights him, and he's about to lose as well. Then David pops up. He starts using his sling, and it gets him off balance. They grab Goliath's sword. They're about to put it into him. Out comes this freaking giant that hits Jonathan, goes flying. He grabs the Philistine king and says, basically, live to fight another day. We'll get our revenge, whatnot. I thought the execution of the two episodes of the first season has really put this show in stride. If you are holding back from watching this show because of the way you feel about the Bible, I would say that's a huge mistake. Um, I think anybody could enjoy this show. If you, like me, were disappointed with Rings of Power or House of the Dragon, or just missed kind of element to TV. This is a great, you know, it's a surprise because no one expected this. Um, and you can honestly pick up at season two, no problem. But it's been a huge surprise how good this show is. And when you learn a little bit more about who's behind it and what they're doing, you kind of understand why. Um, so take a look here. So this is our cast for the show. It's gonna be a little difficult to explain. Um, Most of this cast is unknown people, but they really got good people in the correct places, I will say. If you want my honest opinion, I actually think the guy who plays David is probably one of the weaker links in the show. But you understand why he plays him when you hear his singing voice, and that it made total sense for him to be there because he would play songs for Saul to calm his, craziness. So he'd be invited into the king's quarters and he would do that on a daily basis. The guy who plays Samuel in this is amazing. If you don't recognize him, maybe you'll recognize We're Not in Kansas Anymore. That's the same actor. He's in the Avatar movie series. Uh, not not the Last Airbender, but the blue people, and he's that bad military commander. But man, I didn't know he had the range he did as an actor. I thought he was just kind of a big hoss military guy fit for that role of Avatar, but no, this guy's got some. He's got some range. So that's one big actor there. The guy who played Goliath, I think, did an awesome job. He really showed the fearsome side of what that would be like. Ali Suleiman plays King Saul. I mean, he really sells it, man. He sells the idea of a king going into madness because he pursued his own efforts and was basically God gave him up to that, right? Um, I don't know how you enunciate his last name, Alex Ulam. He plays the Philistine king, and he is probably, I think, all around the best actor in the show. I foresee him getting lot more opportunities. He plays a great bad guy. He's got some sword fighting talent. Um, and if you don't recognize this guy, if you remember the Mummy movies from the 90s, he actually played, I don't remember his name. It's been a long time since I've seen those movies. He played Ardith. So if you recognize this guy, that's the same guy. So you have a good mixture of new talent, regional new talent from the area with some pretty notable people. But it's really in the leadership of the show and directing. So so it looks like they do have two directors. You got a Christian filmmaker and an individual named John Gunn who's worked in faith-based cinema. But these guys seem to know how to maximize what they've been given to make a great show. Like the in the second season, at least so far, the dialogue feels completely comfortable. believable. The characters aren't too clean, you know. Um, let's take a look at the budget here. It has not been publicly disclosed, but it's drawn over 44 million viewers worldwide in its first season, and it is an Amazon production. The Wonder Project, I'd never heard of them before the show came out. But I mean, they're doing a great job. So it's a TV studio. Funny enough, it's based out of New Zealand. So I just think it's so funny that a show like this, who you know they don't have 1/5 of the budget Rings of Power has. But I've been saying it since I watched the first season. I'm like, this is much more well done than Rings of Power is, and that shouldn't be the case. And the fact I did not know they were from New Zealand, that makes it even more like a smack in the face that if you're going to go with somebody who, is new, has never done anything, it's really amazing what you could do when you know what you're doing. And I give them props, man. I'm actually like, I was blown away. There are some criticisms, just small things. Um, I will say in the battle sequence, first episode of the second season, there was a lot of times you couldn't tell what was happening in the battle. There's a lot of dust. And then there was some night scenes. And in the times that you could see what was going on, it was great. But this is a problem that a lot of production companies, directors, casters out there have had, is that same thing happening. Easy fix, I'm sure there's going to be more battles that can be fixed. There was another one I had. Can't really remember what it was now. That was really the main overall problem that I had. The other thing I worry about is, can they keep this up? Because the expectation level that they set in these first two episodes, they can't go back to how they approached the first season. Then the show's gonna fall off, I would say. So, just a worry and a criticism there. Other than that, I mean, I would recommend everybody to watch it. I don't think you'd regret it. I think you'd be like, wow, look what you can do when you have someone who knows what they're doing. And although the budget is not disclosed, I imagine it's not that much. I imagine it's peanuts compared to, some of these other big shows, The Boys and Rings of Power and, what was that other one? Wheel of Time. So, I'll have to see where this goes. Wonder if there's any reviews out. So there's no reviews out yet. Um, that's gonna change. I'll say that much. And I imagine it's gonna be really good. So I mean, as far as like execution effort, this is probably, from a biblical standpoint, the most profound show ever that they've done. The Chosen's a different kind of show. It's a different kind of good. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm anxious to see more. I would highly recommend it, whether you are a believer or not. I don't believe in Norse mythology, but I'm gonna watch Thor. I don't believe in Greco-Roman beliefs. I don't support them, but I'm gonna watch the new movie Christopher Nolan's directing, the Odyssey remake. So don't let that, keep you from watching something that's good. Uh, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for this one. Uh, Highly recommend it.